Hello everybody, welcome to the Steckline Report. Very important date coming up, a couple of them. One of them quicker than you think, I'm sure. I'll talk about that. Plus the fact that we have another report out, and it looks like, folks, there's a lot of people that won't agree with it. It's about the COOL program. Stay tuned.
I first got started in the cattle business. My wife and my father-in-law got me into it. I love dealing with the animals and being in the outdoors. At American Ag Credit, I know a lot of them are in the same business that I am. Therefore they understand what I need and what problems I'm against, so they can work with you on it, and it makes it much easier.
It's been passed down to me through the generations, and I want to pass it on down to the next generation or two.
Well, friends, we have an important date coming up here real quick, February the 27th. If you want to change your yields or base acres on the new farm program that you're going to have to sign up for in another month after that for 5 years, you got to do it by February the 27th. And I got to tell you, the last week's going to be pretty tough to get into that FSA office. So I just remind you of that. If you don't have your appointment set, you better do it. I've got mine done, and I thought it was kind of interesting, and I thought very well handled. The FSA's offices are doing a great job, got their act together better than anything I've ever seen on a farm bill at this particular point in time. Some of the things that I did, I got rid of some of my milo base and some of the soybean base and put it into wheat because I'm a wheat farmer. I'm not smart enough to grow some of those other crops that you guys do a good job on. So I wanted it in the wheat base. And also, when it come to the fact that I was looking at acres, well, guess what? Folks, the yields that I had needed to be updated. And I had the information to do that mostly from federal crop insurance. So you'll probably have to talk to your insurance man if you want to change your yields. In the meantime, something interesting concerning mandatory price reporting and the COOL program. We had the National Farmers Union booking a special group of people to take a look at what's happened the last year with the COOL program intact. And Canadian and Mexican cattle were not discriminated against because of country of origin labels, according to this new study. The National Farmers Union released this information just recently, and it showed that the economic downturn in 2008 and 9 had a great deal to do with reducing demand for meat products. Data from mandatory price reports that meat packers have to submit to USDA showed little difference between domestic and imported livestock prices, and supposedly that's not a surprise to anybody at the National Farmers Union because they've been a backer of the COOL program since day one, and I personally have been as well. COOL had virtually zero impact on any of this. If you want more information on that and details, check with the National Farmers Union. Boy, here's something that we need to pay attention to, folks. Manure from dairy operations could be deemed solid waste if it isn't managed properly. That's according to a federal judge that's ruled in a Washington state case that has drawn the attention of all of us. Now, in the past, there's been several lawsuits like this and it's never won. This one has. The question remains as to whether the ruling will have a wider effect on how livestock operations manage manure in the future. And of course, every major livestock operation has got situations that demand attention with manure. Check that out too if you'd like, especially if you're in the cattle feeding business. In the meantime, sorghum. It's on the rise as far as exports. And guess who's leading the way? Our good friends in China. That's right. And something I didn't know about, food grade sorghum in Kansas being sold, and Brenham, Kansas is the place where the elevator has done a pretty good job the last year or two of doing just exactly that. Farmers producing some special sorghum that is food grade, and they have a market for it. In the meantime, China remains a big buyer of sorghum. Boy, they've come up 3-4-fold in buying sorghum from the United States. I guess it's because of some problems with corn that we've had. But grain sorghum tops the list for Chinese grain imports right now, and it doesn't look like that's going to slow down very much. It looks like in the current marketing year, which began in September, they're already higher than the previous year entirely and the 5-year average on what they have bought. So let's hope they continue that. And oh, by the way, is our cattle price too high? Well, the U.S. lifted a ban on Irish beef that's been in place since the mad cow disease started 15 years ago. I don't think it's too big a deal because they're not too big a country that's going to ship a whole lot of stuff here, but it just goes to show you how things can change when prices get a little bit better. See you on the next Steckline Report.